Good evening to one and all. Welcome you all to the Daily Indian Express newspaper analysis for the date 8th April 2024, brought to you by Ganesh IAS Academy. Okay, let's get into the today's newspaper analysis. Mentioned here are the list of articles which we are going to have the analysis in the upcoming slides. So have a look into it. Okay, let's analyze every article one by one. Goal worth setting. So the news is related to what the government of India needed to do to achieve the developed India by 2047, which was the vision that has been set by the present government. So this is what the news is about. Let's look into the linkage of the news with the examination. Under prelims, the news is related to economic and social development. Similarly, under mains, it has been linked with GS paper 3 through a major topic called economic and development, under which a subtopic called Indian economy and issues relating to planning, mobilization of resource, growth, development and employment. So this is how the news has been related with examination. Okay, let's look into the further details of the news. So in 2013-14 time period, India was the world's 10th largest economy in terms of GDP. The country's ranking have improved to 5th place, behind the US, China, Japan as well as Germany this year. And the progress from 10th to 5th is being driven mainly because of the average annual GDP growth, as I said earlier. So during this period of time, our average annual GDP growth was 5.9%, and this has driven the economy from 10th place to 5th place. It's below then. So even though our average annual growth is 5.9, it is way lesser when compared to the 6.8 growth, at the average 6.8 growth which was experienced between 2004-5 time period to 2013-14 time period. And given India's present GDP of about 3.5 trillion, India need to grow by almost 6% annually to achieve the number 3 ranking in terms of the largest economy by 2038, which the India has set up as the goal right now. And the advantage of world's number 3, what advantage it will bring if an economy is progressing from 5th place to 3rd place in terms of the economy, means what advantage does it have? It will have the countries. It will increase the particular country's geopolitical heft, and at the same time it will also increase the ability of the particular country to influence at the global level. So these are all that thing which a particular country will be experiencing whenever if it is progressing in terms of economy from one level to the another level. But from the development perspectives, it is not the aggregate size of economy that will have qualitative growth. It is the development of the economy. So development means increasing the standard of living of the people. It is not only the increasing the GDP of the people, GDP of an economy. So it is reflected by, so the standard of living of a particular country's people is reflected from the per capita GDP. At just over $2,500, which India has right now as the per capita GDP, it is way below when compared to the China's per capita GDP of $13,000. In 1990, this is the picture of the present economy between India as well as China in terms of the per capita GDP. During 1990s, India had the upper hand in terms of per capita GDP. For example, India has the per capita GDP of $369, but in terms of China, it has only $348. So we could able to see that India is almost higher when compared to the China in terms of GDP. But in present condition, China has the per capita GDP of $13,000. In terms of India, it is only $2,500. So we could able to see the gap in terms of the per capita GDP. So the gap is because of the increased reform as well as the economic policy that has been made by China for the past 3 decades. In the next 2 decades, India need to at least quadruple the per capita GDP to achieve the target that it has set to achieve. So what is the target that it has set to achieve by 2047 is that India has the ambitious target to attain the developed country status by 2047. So in order to achieve that status, India needed to quadruple its per capita GDP in the coming years. So according to the World Bank, India has been ranked as lower middle income country and China has been ranked as upper middle income country. In terms of if a particular country needed to be branded or ranked as high income country means then it should have the per capita income of $13,845, which the China is nearing to. So in the near future, China will be entering into the high income category. So India needed to increase fasten its per capita GDP in order to ensure that India is also becoming the high income country, which in turn will be will enable us to realize our dream of developed country by 2047. So this is what the analysis or the this is what the thing that has been analyzed in the news. So quadrupling the per capita GDP will have massive amount of effort, will require massive amount of effort. It is the effort that will be required from all the stakeholders. So all the departments need to work in this to work towards the common mission of developed India by 2047. For example, India has already set the target of doubling the farmers' income by 2032. So this was the target that has been set. So in order to achieve the target, all the departments of the government single-handedly merged their effort towards this goal, as a result of which they could able to achieve this goal, and this kind of effort need to be done in order to achieve the developed India status by 2047. So this is what the suggestion that has been put forward by the articles in today's newspaper. So and this is the overall analysis of the news with regards to the per capita GDP. So what are the things which we needed to be further aware of is, we should be aware of World Bank, its structure, function as well as mandate, IMF and its structure, function and mandate, and the United Nations Organization. So what is the United Nations Organization is, and under which objective it has been formed, and what are all the sub organizations that has been coming under it. So these are all the things which we needed to be further aware of, and with this we have reached the end of this topic. Rwanda president blames the world's inaction as the country marks the 30th anniversary of the genocide that has happened in Rwanda during 1994. Let's look into what the genocide is about, why the genocide has happened, and what is the aftermath of it. So these are all the things which we are going to have the analysis with regards to this news in the upcoming slide. Before that, let's look into the linkage of the news with the examination. Under prelims, the news was related to current events of national as well as international importance. Similarly, under means it has been linked with GS paper 2 international relation through a subtopic called effect of policies and politics of developed and developing countries of India's interest as well as India's diaspora. So this is how the news has been related with examination. Let's look into the details of the news. So the Rwandan president has blamed the international community for allowing the 1994 genocide to happen. So the blame is the inaction by the major countries. So this is what the blame that has been made by Rwandan president during the 30th anniversary of the Rwanda's genocide. So the killing were ignited when a plane carrying the then president Juvenal Habyarimana, whose Hutu community, he was shot down by some extremists in Kigali. As a result of which the Tutsis were blamed. The Tutsis, who are the another sect, they are who are the another sect. Those who are living in the Rwanda, they were blamed by Hutus. As a result of which the conflict between Hutus as well as Tutsis happened, which in turn has led to death of nearly 8 lakh people. The world communities remain silent during this period. This is what the blame that has been made by the Rwandan president in the ongoing anniversary of the Rwanda's genocide. So let's look into what are the things or what are the events that has led to genocide. So Rwanda was originally a German colony. After Germany defeat in World War I, it was transferred to Belgium. Belgium favored the Tutsis over Hutus. So that is basically they favored the divide and rule policy in order to ensure the administration stability in the particular Rwandan region. In 1957, Hutus revolutions has led to Tutsi fleeing the country. Later they formed a rebel group called Rwanda Patriotic Front, which in short form called as RPF. During 1942, Rwanda gained its independence, and the government that has been formed, the sovereign government that has been formed in Rwanda is dominated by Hutus. In 1992, the Tutsi rebels invaded the Rwanda from Uganda. Ceasefire agreement was signed between RPF and the Rwandan government. As a result of which, this has led to the transition government. The Hutu majority wanted to wanted pure Hutu state, that is the Hutu majority want to have government which should be entirely dominated by the Hutu people, not by the Tutsi people. So late in 1992, this led to tension between Hutus as well as Tutsi. During this time period only, 1994. So whenever during this time period, the tension between these two community has heightened. So as a spark of the event, the 1994 the shutdown has happened. So during 1994, the then president who's also from the Hutu communities was shot down by certain extremists, and the Hutu communities blamed those extremists as Tutsi community, as a result of which this conflict has led to the fighting between the two communities, which in turn has led to death of 8 lakh people, which is called as genocide. So this is what the events that has led to the 1994 genocide. The Tutsi also retaliated. The war ended with the Tutsi rebel defeated the Hutu militia and they were made to flee the land. So this is what the result, the genocide, this is what the result of the conflict that has happened during 1994. So what the international community did during that time period? So France, Belgium, USA and UN kept silence on the genocide. Many countries refused to acknowledge it as the genocide or put any sanction or put any sanction on condemnation of the Rwandan government. UN Security Council also delayed in sending the UN peacekeeping force to the Rwandas. So these are all the inactive things that has been made by international community during this period of time, and this is what has been quoted by the present Rwandan government has held, is the place where the trial with regards to the genocide has been held. And during 2008, 3 Rwandanian military officials were convicted for plotting the genocide on the common people. So this is what the aftermath of the incident is about, and this is what the whole thing with regard. This is what the whole analysis with the news is about. So what are the things which we needed to be further aware of? Is we should be aware of what is International Criminal Court, International Court of Justice, its structure, function, and its objective, and what is the difference between ICC as well as ICJ, and the entire African map as well as the United Nations organization, its objective as well as the mission under which it has been formed. So these are all the things which we needed to be further aware of, and with this we have reached the end of this topic. Total solar eclipse in North America, which is so rare. So let's look into what is total solar eclipse and what are the different types of solar eclipse and why the total solar eclipse is called as rare event. So these are all the things which we are going to see in the upcoming slides. Before that, let's look into the details, the linkage of the news with the examination. Under prelims, the news is related to India and world geography. Similarly, under mains, it has been related with GS paper 1, major topic called geography, under which a subtopic called important geophysical phenomena such as earthquake, tsunami, volcanic activities, cyclone. So this is how the news has been related with examination. So today's total solar eclipse will be passing through the North America. It will not be visible for the people from India, and this is the event which is considered as rare event. So this is what the news is about. Let's look into the further analysis of the news. So what is the total solar eclipse? A solar eclipse takes place when the moon moves between Earth as well as the sun. So the moon blocks the sunlight either fully or partially, casting its huge shadow on the Earth. So there are four different types of eclipse: total solar eclipse, annual solar eclipse, partial solar eclipse, as well as hybrid solar eclipse. So these are the 4 different types of solar eclipse, and these types of solar eclipse will be happening according to the position of the moon between the Earth as well as the sun. So when the moon blocks the sun entirely, the areas in the center of the moon's shadows will be called as total solar eclipse. And when the moon passes in front of the sun, but it is present in farthest point from the Earth, means then it is called as annual solar eclipse. So a partial solar eclipse will be happening whenever the moon blocks just the part of the sun. So we could able to the other part of the moon will be visible. So such a kind of eclipse is called as partial solar eclipse. A hybrid solar eclipse will be happening when an eclipse shift between annual as well as the total solar eclipse. So these are all the things with regards to the different types of solar eclipses about. So how often is a solar eclipse seen? So a solar eclipse happens only during a new moon. That is whenever the moon and the sun are aligned in the same direction towards the earth. So although the new moon occurs once in 29.5 days, the solar eclipse takes place only 4 or 5 times yearly. So what is the reason? So what is the reason why the new moon is happening frequently for the 29.5 days time period, and the solar eclipse is happening only for 4 to 5 times in a year? So this is because the moon does not orbit around the earth in the same plane as the earth does. For example, the moon's orbit is tilted by 5 degree when it is rotating around the earth with respect with respect to the earth's orbit around the sun. So this 5 degree tilt that the moon has with regards to the rotation of the with regards to the rotation around the earth, it is what it is creating the difference in terms of the number of times the solar eclipse occurring in a year and the number of times the new moon that is occurring in a year. So as a result, when the moon is between earth and the sun, its shadows is either too high or too low to fall on the planet. So because of this 5 degree tilt the moon faces with regards to its rotation towards the earth. So this 5 degree is what is creating the difference with regards to the number of times the formation of the new moon as well as the solar eclipse. And these 2 points, that is, for example, the earth that is revolving around the earth will be considered as a disk, and the earth that is revolving around the sun is also considered as one disk. So when these two disks are meeting at the particular point, then it is called as nodes according to the geography terms of the total in terms of solar eclipse among the types of the solar eclipse. So what are the things which we need to study for this? We should be aware of what is sun and moon and how it has been formed, what are the different layers that is present in the sun, why the outer layer is hot when compared to the inner layer in the sun. Secondly, we should also be aware of the planet formation, Aditya L1 as well as the Chandrayaan mission. So these are all the things which we needed to be further aware of, and with this we have reached the end of this topic. India coal import has risen by 13% in February. So let's look into what is coal, why the coal import has risen in the February month, and what is the distribution of the coal in terms of the import by India from other countries. So before that, let's look into the linkage of the news with the examination. Under prelims, the news is related to economic and social development. Similarly, under mains, it is been linked with GS paper 3 through a major topic called economic and development, under which a subtopic called Indian economy and issues relating to planning, mobilization of resource, growth, development and employment. So this is how the news has been related with the examination. So India's coal import rose by 13% to 21.6 metric ton in February as buyers wanted to replenish their stock because of the increased demand that will be occurring during the summer month. So this is the reason why the February month coal import has risen by 13%. So this is what the news is about. Let's look into what actually the coal is. So coal is the combustible black sedimentary rock formed as rock strata called as coal seam. Coal is mostly carbon with variable amount of other elements like chiefly hydrogen, sulfur, oxygen and nitrogen. So these are all the elements that has been present in the coal apart from the carbon. So a coal supplies about a quarter of the world primary energy and 2/5 of the electricity. India has the 5th largest coal reserve in India, and India is the 2nd largest coal producer in India after China. So this is what the coal is about, and this is what the status of India with regards to the coal production as well as import is about. Let's look into import and export of coal in India. India lacks coking coal, which is the very important coal for making iron and steel as well as its allied industries. Most of this kind of coking coal is imported from countries like Indonesia, South Africa, Russia as well as Australia. The coal-based power plants, cement plants, captive power plants, sponge iron plants, industrial consumers and coal traders are importing the non-coking coal. And the coke is imported mainly by pig iron, pig iron manufacturers and iron and steel sectors consumers using the mini blast furnaces. So these are all the different types of coal that has been imported by different different sectors in an economy for their requirement. So what is the distribution of India's coal with regards to the import from other countries? So we could able to see that Indonesia is contributing nearly 48%, and in terms of Australia it is 20%, 16%, South Africa 16%, Russia is 3, US is 5, and the other countries will be contributing to 8% of the total distribution in terms of the import of coal from other countries by India. So this is what the thing with regards to the coal import is about. So what are the things which we needed to be further aware of is, we should be aware of power plant. So what is power plant? What are the different types of power plant that is present in India? So what is the electricity mix? The source of the electricity that has been produced in India, what percentage of source that has been produced from coal, what percentage of electricity that has been produced from solar, wind, so on and so forth. Thirdly, we should also be aware of what are the different types of schemes that has been implemented in India to promote the solar electricity production. So these are all the things which we needed to be further aware of, and with this we have reached the end of this topic. FPIs withdraws 325 crores during the first week of the April month. So this is what the news is about. Let's look into the linkage of the news with the examination. Under prelims, the news is related to economic and social development. Similarly, under mains, it has been related with GS paper 3 through a major topic called economic and development, under which a subtopic called Indian economy and issues relating to planning, mobilization of resource, growth, development and employment. So this is how the news has been related with examination. So if foreign portfolio investors have turned cautious as they pull out a sum of 325 crores from the portfolio investment. This has happened after the investment of 35,000 that has came in terms of portfolio investment during March time period and 1,539 crore in February time period. So this has happened because of the cautious decision that has been made by investors with regards to the high valuation as well as the upcoming elections in India. So this is what the news is about. Let's look into what is the FPI is. FPI it is the investment that made through securities and other financial assets held by the investors in the companies or the organization that is present in the other countries. It does not provide investors with direct ownership, and it is relatively liquid when compared to the foreign direct investment. So along with the foreign direct investment, FPI is one of the common ways to invest in other countries, and FDI and FPI both contribute both act as the important source of funding for the economy, most particularly for India. FPI is the part of country's capital account and it is shown in the balance of payment. So this is what the FPI is about, and the difference between the FPI and the FDI is about. Let's look into the advantage of FPI. It will enable to raise investment in the apart from the conventional banking channel which they used to do. Secondly, investors can gain substantial return from the investment that they are doing in the other countries in the form of portfolio investment. Thirdly, FPI will be enable the investors to diversify their investment. So these are all the advantage it will have in terms of from the perspective of the organization and also from the perspective of investors. So what disadvantage will it have is, first and foremost is the easy outflow. Whenever there is a turmoil that is happening in an economy, for example, the recession as well as the economic slowdown that is happening in an economy means the portfolio investors will be pulling back their money which they have invested, because FPI are comparatively liquid when compared to the FDI. So in terms of pulling the investment from the FDI, it is very hard. In terms of FPI, it is relatively easy when compared to FDI, and it is vulnerable to the inflation and also the other macroeconomic turbulence. So these are all the disadvantage the FPI has. And what are all the things which we needed to be further aware of is, we should be aware of what is FDI and what are the investment that will be constituted under FDI, and we should be aware of what is balance of payment and what are all the things that will be coming under the balance of payment, and we should be aware of what is revenue receipt as well as a revenue expenditure. So these are all the things which we needed to be further aware of along with the news which we have seen in the previous slide, and with this we have reached the end of this topic. Okay, let's move on to today's practice prelims question. Mentioned here is the today's practice prelims question. So those students, those who are watching this session online, please do comment the option point for the question which you are seeing right now on the board. So with this, we have reached the end of today's session. So please do like, comment, share as well as subscribe Ganesh IAS YouTube channel so that you will be receiving daily current affairs session notification and also weekly environmental as well as science and tech notification, and also any other important session that will be brought to you in the future by Ganesh IAS Academy. Thank you.